gotta make it out to Vegas, where the lights shine bright. Vegas, in the clear desert night. Vegas, where they can make you a star. Vegas, at the NFR.
NFR Extra is a podcast dedicated to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo and features icons and personalities that embody the Western lifestyle.
Start of another year, it does suck coming off of the NFR and you're like, gosh, we gotta start all over again, like this journey. But then come October 1st and you are headed to the NFR, and then come the start of NFR, it's like, this is why you do it. It's just, there is no feeling like the Thomas and Mack in Las Vegas, and I don't think that will ever change. So
this is pro rodeo announcer Andy Seiler, and you are listening to NFR Extra. We have with us on NFR Extra Miss Hailey Holman, the wife of Mr. White Boots, but she has quite a few of her own to tell. So, Miss Hailey, first and foremost, welcome to NFR Extra.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I want you to tell us a little bit about your journey and how you found your way to the mainland.
All right. So I graduated high school and I almost like had sent in transcripts and applied to colleges blindly. And just because I hadn't been able to, have a large scope of where everything was and what everything looked like here on the mainland. But my brother, I have an older brother and I have a younger brother. My older brother was going to school already at Cal Poly, which is in San Luis Obispo, California. And I had visited there a little bit, and it was just such a great place. It was a great fit. It had everything that a great college town would have, but it wasn't a big city. Mm-hmm. And also, I took into consideration that if you're from Hawaii, the further east you go, the harder it would be for me to get back home. So if I had a week off, if I was any further than California, one flight would turn into probably closer to 3 flights to get back and just get more and more expensive to get back home. So I always just kind of had set myself in California. And then having my older brother there, it just kind of gave me an avenue of where to pick. And so that's how I ended up in Cal Poly. Thankfully, I got accepted because I really didn't apply to too many places. And they have a great rodeo team there. I got to do that. And that's kind of what led one thing into another. And I ended up happening to live with Lily Hay, who's Lefty's first cousin. And just crazy things like that happened. I had no idea who anybody was. I had never met her before in my life. And yeah, that's ended up how I met Lefty, actually.
And what was the adventure? Let's stay in college for a second. You're rodeoing, all of these things are happening. Did you interact with Lefty much then? Was it more of a friendship? How did that develop in its own?
It's actually a funny story. We joke about this a lot, but I actually had a boyfriend at the time. I came to college with a boyfriend from Hawaii, high school boyfriend. And when I first got there, I didn't even have a car yet. I was like catching rides with my brother, and my mom was helping me get moved in. So I was like walking from campus to the rodeo grounds. And here comes Lefty, not in class, in his nice new truck. He had like a black, brand new dually Chevy, of course. And then he was like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I have to walk, all over here. I'm not settled in yet." And he's like, "You want to just go to lunch?" And I was like, "Sure, I guess." So he was taking me and my mom to lunch. It was like one of the first days I was there. And then, of course, like he would always have like social gatherings and parties at his house. But I like had a boyfriend, so I just wasn't really, looking for anything. And he was only there for a semester. He stayed at Cuesta, which is the junior college right next to Cal Poly, for one semester. And then he kind of did like the whole online school thing while still college rodeoing. But he was gone. He was rodeoing. Bradley Harder at that point had taken him under his wing. And so he was starting his journey in the PRCA his rookie year. And so that was 2018. Oh no, I guess end of 2017 into 2018. And not long after, I ended up not being with my boyfriend and I was single. And all of a sudden he had gotten hurt at Ellensburg, Washington. He broke his wrist. So then he's back home in California, not rodeoing, with a lot of time on his hands all of a sudden, and needing to kill time visiting his cousin Lily a lot. And one circle led into another, and that's just kind of how it all started. But I always like reflect on that time and think, things just happen for a reason. Like if he didn't end up there, being there for a semester, if I didn't happen to end up being there, if he didn't happen to get hurt his rookie year, which was absolutely devastating for him because, winning Rookie of the Year. I mean, 20 years into your career, they're still announcing how, in whatever year you were the Resistol Rookie of the Year. So it's just a coveted title that everybody's after their first year in the PRCA. And if he never had that injury, we would never have had the time really to meet. And we probably would not have ended up together. And so it's just, everything just works out for a reason. And I'm thankful it did. I mean, it's just hard to even put together how someone from Hawaii ends up, living such a crazy life, married to a rodeo cowboy. But yeah, that's how it all started.
I love that. I'm going to jump a little bit fast forward. College is now kind of wrapping up. You are starting your own career in life. What was your journey after college?
So it got a little messy because it was COVID, right? COVID kind of threw everybody for a loop. So I graduated in 2020 and it was just the craziest thing. I remember so distinctly being at Rodeo Houston and Lefty had just won a bunch of money and we were so happy. We were like, oh yeah, like this is going to boost him in the standings, everything. And the next day it's like Rodeo Houston's called off. And I'm like, what? Like, you kept hearing things about all this COVID, this and that. But when they canceled Rodeo Houston, it was like, okay, like this is serious. And all of a sudden it ended up escalating very quickly, as everybody remembers. And my mom freaked out, brought me home. She was like, it's too far for, you to be, if anything happened, like, how am I supposed to get to you? They were shutting down flights. Yeah. Everything just went on lockdown. So me and my brothers, she brought us all home. And then Lefty is never worried about anything. So he's just like, when's the next rodeo? Like killing time in California. What are we going to do now, guys? And so everything shut down for a couple weeks, but then they started, having things here and there wherever states would allow them to have rodeos. And so he kind of kept doing his thing. So then I was home and I just needed to start doing life. And so at that point, we're not engaged, we're not married. So you're thinking long term, but not really. You're kind of still doing your own separate things. And I ended up starting to build houses with my brothers. Like we would design, take on building projects. They were like little tiny homes on trailers. We built them from scratch, start to finish. And so that's kind of like what my family did. And we just worked. Like I ended up just working, like taking these jobs. And then, I'm trying to meet timelines. People are paying, larger amounts of money. And so it's not like I could just pick up and leave whenever I wanted. And, Lefty's rodeoing in places like Florida where they had a little more leniency. So when you're in Hawaii, you're a whole day away. You're like at least 5 hours difference in time, maybe more depending on the time of year. And so, I'm just waking up early in the morning and he's like having dinner. So it was like, even just to find time to talk, our lives just didn't overlap as much. And so it was just a lot of space and we kind of had to find our own footing in that transition period. Mm-hmm. And then at some point you kind of just get to the place where you're like, all right, are we doing life together? Or, do you need to do something else? Because our lives are just ended up being so separate. And we ended up getting engaged and married. And then at that point it was like, okay, our lives are together and we've become this team. And from there, I kind of did my own things. So I have my own things. Like I have rentals in Hawaii that are, ours that we've built and that have become what we do together there. But also like we have a full life here, like we've bought houses here and we have a family now. And so much of my life now is completely dependent on his life and his schedule. And we love that. Like he does not like being away from us, and we don't like being away from him. And so it's become quite the team. Like, we rodeo now almost as a team, which I would have never seen in my life take on that phase, but I'm so glad it did. Like, I wouldn't have wanted it to be any other way, even now.
Well, and not just rodeoing together only. You guys have several companies that you're working on. I think one of them is Buckem Co, plus some embroidery that you work on. Tell us a little bit about those ventures.
Yes. Okay. So a year and a half ago now, we started our company called Buckem Co. And if you're not familiar with our family, Lefty's stepmom, she designs and brings all the women and kids boots for Ariat to life. Like, she is amazing. She is a VP at Ariat. She is so good at what she does, but she has worked with Ariat for a really long time. Lefty's sister also works there. And then Lefty's aunt is Quincy Eldridge, Dakota Eldridge wife, who is Rodeo Quincy. And if you've never heard of Rodeo Quincy, she has become such an icon in women's Western fashion. And then she started collaborating with the PRCA, the NFR. She does her own PRCA line with, Rodeo Quincy PRCA collab during that time. And she's just really she's just somebody we really admire, because she's taken her own space in this industry, which is hard to do from, such a small business. Like, she started this all on her own. Like, her warehouse is right here in Visalia. She's working every day. Like, I see it. She's like this empire, but she's just a person who has grown so big, having these crazy meetings with all of these chain stores. And so it just inspired us in that direction, business wise. And then if you know Lefty at all, he loves fashion. He loves to be different. He loves taking the edge of Western and still like appreciating its traditional values and essence, but also bringing new life to it and making it different and cool and, something that's almost like trendy and sought after. And so those all combined, and we started Buckem Co. And so it is a clothing brand, but he's also a very funny, entertaining personality. So it's become almost an entertainment channel as well, because him and Cooper are there heavy on the Snapchat, which, like, I guess the ending of my generation is not super crazy into it. But like the younger generation, Snapchat is it. Like, I have learned the kids that are in junior high school, they communicate only on Snapchat. They're not texting and calling. Like, it is Snapchat only. This is like how they communicate. Their number one app. And so they are just posting stuff all day long. And I actually will go on there just to watch it, but they're very funny. Like, they give this whole behind the scenes journey of their life and what it is to like be on the road, and, adding comedy to that and bringing humor to, people and in rodeo or, locker room scenes, just things like that. And so it is a clothing brand. It's also, entertainment, and it's just kind of whatever we want it to be. It's our own company. And so that's what makes it fun. And last year was like our first full year. We learned so much. I mean, you really just learn as you go. We went from our first shop being 5 t-shirts to now doing like lines. And so it's really fun. We've just grown a lot, learned a lot, and taken advice from people near and dear to us who we trust and admire. And we've gotten so much help along the way, but it's a journey. We're just at the start, and we're loving every bit of it for sure.
Well, you guys have not only been growing on the business side, but your family has grown as well. So how is it trying to balance all this, being not only a wife, but a mom as well?
It is so hard. It's actually funny you say that. Lefty, he got home Sunday night really late. Their flight got delayed. They were coming all the way from Ohio. And then yesterday he's, tired, and, he's been rodeoing, and he tells me he like needs a day to debrief. And I'm like, you need a day to debrief. I've been with our baby for the last week while you've been gone. Like, I know you've been rodeoing and taking care of us, but I'm like, I need a day to debrief. And then today he's telling me his whole schedule. I'm like, I'm like, this is your day. So he's right now at the Tulare Ag Show, dadding it out. But a baby is the best thing. I don't ever want to take that away for how much light and how much more meaning and just joy it brings to your life. But the amount of time you end up having to do things, like starting a business just requires so much of your attention. And especially when you're not at the stage where you have a team, like this is all me and Lefty, like we're doing everything and we're learning as we go. So it's not like we knew how everything works. Like we're making mistakes, we're learning from them. And it has been a curve for me, especially because I'm doing all the back end and things like that. So we have needed help. Like when my mom comes, it's just the best relief ever because she is 24/7. She wakes up. She's so happy to have our baby. And she comes a lot. So we get to see her quite a bit. And then I have another babysitter who comes and helps. But she's just a high school girl who comes, after school, gives me a few hours to be able to have some productive time for myself. And then when Lefty's home and not overstimulated, he also helps. But he's good. He's outside all the time. Viva she adores her dad. She knows she can get anything she wants from him. And he is more than happy to give it to her. So they spend a lot of time outside together. They spend a lot of time together. But it is nice having him home because it just one more set of hands, even if I need 40 minutes, an hour just to finish something up, he can take her to the gym or he can just spend some time with her. So having it home helps a lot. But during these winter rodeos, when, you have one rodeo, but the next rodeo is 3 days away, California is just not really the easiest to fly back and make it worth it. By the time he flies back, you're home for a day, then pretty much have to leave again. And just with the cost of flights these days, just doesn't really make it worth it. So he ends up being gone for longer periods. And we went a lot last year. We traveled a lot with him last year. And this year, we are still going, but I have enjoyed being home. And he's also realized that it's a little more difficult taking her too. So he's not really very, very sad when we're like, oh, we'll just stay home if you're only going to be gone for 4 days. So we've been balancing it. You learn as you go. And we have loved and embraced every part of parenthood. I think it is the greatest blessing. But yes, it changes your life dramatically in so many good ways and also challenging ways as well.
Let's take a quick pause and we'll be right back. Do you need a dose of social? A dash of insider info? Then the National Finals Rodeo social network is set up just for you. Get updates, insights, unique content, and much more on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find us at /Las Vegas NFR. And be sure to use hashtag Wrangler NFR on your posts and tweets. There's something for all rodeo fans. The NFR and Las Vegas, where every moment is legendary.
Well, and tell us a little bit about her personality, because I've seen a little through social, but I want you to highlight it.
I wish you could see my face on this thing because she's so serious. She is funny and she, smiles and she is a lot like her dad. When attention is on her, she can be the star of the show and she knows how to smile at the camera and bring her little dimples out and be all cute. But in general, she's very serious and very sassy. And it is unbelievable how early a child's personality shows through. I have been blown away just watching the development of my own child because from when she was a baby, not even talking, not even communicating, not walking, just by the look she gives us, I'm like, what? It just takes me aback a little bit. But she is defiant in her own nature. She's funny because she's timid. My sister-in-law, Lefty's sister, Billy, our babies are very close together. We were pregnant like within weeks of one another. And so we got to just experience that whole journey together. And, we have each other for motherhood, which I'm so thankful for her. I see her all the time, just about every day. But a boy and a girl are so different. how they act, how they interact. Like he is 100 miles an hour all day long, jumping off things, going down slides. He's always has a bruise on his forehead because he's eaten it somewhere on the pavement, something. Like he is Nina all the time. Viva is very timid, and not timid, but she's just very careful what she does. And she is her own person. But yeah, I'll tell you, in 10 years from now, we're going to have our hands full with that one, because she's strong-willed, that's for sure. And she knows how to push it, but we will see. I don't know that kind of a personality changes, or like all of a sudden I'm going to wake up and she's going to be this happy, sweet little listen to me all the time. So I think we're really in for it with that one.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want her to be independent, but does she have a go-to move to win over Dad?
She just looks at him.
Oh, geez.
She looks at him with her little eyes and her dimples, and anything she wants, he'll do. And like kids, I have learned, get naughty very fast.
Yes.
They learn the tricks very quickly. They know how to make a scene and whine, especially when you're in public, to get what they want. And yeah, even we went to a rodeo down in San Diego, and we were having some nice dinners down there just because you're in like the Gaslamp quarters and everything is so beautiful there. And she just starts getting naughty, and I get it. You know, she's tired. The rodeos run late and all these things. But, you know, you're in a restaurant, and it's just, you want to be able, not to say that you can ever fully enjoy a sit-down meal with a young child, but she was being extra horrible. And so I tell Lefty, I'm like, this is it for me. Like, we're getting back. We are getting on her ass, and she's going to shape up. He's like, well, not for me, you know, like, you go ahead. But he's like, not my angel. And I'm like, well, back me up here, because, you know, she looks at him, you know, after I've just, you know, slapped her hand or told her no, and she looks at her dad, and it's over. And I'm like, well, that's just going to be lovely. But he has to be to quite a breaking point to do anything to her. And then after his small little disciplinary action, he's very sorry. So I guess that works in your favor. Yeah.
I feel like I want to highlight Las Vegas with your guys' family specifically, because you guys do Vegas up pretty well compared to some. What are some of your favorite stops here in Las Vegas?
So my in-laws are the best at getting out and eating. So pretty much the whole 10 days, they have made reservations at one of, you know, there's just so many options in Las Vegas. So she's got her whole itinerary. Like I don't know if we're crazy or if this is normal for Vegas, but like each of us have our own Excel spreadsheets where we're like, okay, you know, this is what each day looks like. Cause like I'm trying to keep in line, you know, Lefty signings and appearances and like where he needs to be at what time. And then, you know, for me, and then adding the baby into the mix to make sure everything's covered. And we leave by 4:15. Lefty leaves really early because he ends up going with Rocker. And so, you know, bareback riders are there extra early.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to keep a schedule that way. And my in-laws, I mean, they've got their own schedule going, and they have their 2 kids too. And yeah, they get out. So I've heard, we've not made it out very much to dinners other than the hotels we're staying at. Like we stayed at Fontainebleau, takes care of us. Amazing. They have Don's Prime is one of the most amazing steakhouse I've been to. Service, amazing. Food, amazing. Poppy Steak is also in Fontainebleau. Also great reviews from me. I loved all of that. They have a sushi place in there. I want to say it's called Komodo. Also amazing. The drinks were just everything. Like I am there for a craft cocktail. Like I do not want, I want it to be delicious. I want the food to be great. And Vegas has it all. And those hotels they're just so classy. And I love every bit of it. Like we are all 4 or 5 star experiences, dining, you know, a stay, hotel rooms. And we have done that with Vegas, because before that we stayed at Resorts World. Resorts World also has great steakhouse, you know, and so we are not short on options for food. My in-laws, they've gone to Delilah's, I know, every year, which they rave about. We've not made it there yet, but one year when we're in Vegas, a little earlier. I'm making Lefty take me there, but it's like you never know how the week is going to go once the rodeo starts. And so we've never like planned ahead to do a dinner, but they are so good at getting out. They'll go to Carbone and wherever. There's a million amazing places. Las Vegas has everything. Like you name it, they have it. And so it doesn't even matter what experience you're looking for. Like if the years when Lefty has won around, if we want to go splurge and spend some money, Las Vegas is also the place.
Yes,
you can do
is.
that real easily.
Yes, it is.
The shopping is incredible. Everything about it. We love it there.
All right, you're making me hungry. So since I've never been to Hawaii, what is something that you can get back home that you can't get in California?
I want to say fresh fish, but I know like California is not, we're not landlocked here in the middle of South Dakota eating sushi, but there is something about like Hawaiian fish that I just love. And it's just so second to none that I can't even compare it. Even if they say the fish here is fresh in California or, in Las Vegas, I feel like it's always possibly has been frozen and it's just not the same.
Right.
But Hawaii's food is very diverse. And so California, I guess, just wouldn't have a lot of it. I guess we have a lot of Asian mixed in, but I don't know because, California, they've kind of got it all as well. So they might copy some things where it's not fully authentic Hawaiian, but it's a pretty close second. Like I'm not complaining about it, eating it.
Your guys' family fishes quite a bit too, though, right?
Yeah. So my dad, when I was younger, he grew up doing that a lot. And then my younger brother now, he has his own boat. Him and his good buddy, they hustle pretty much every weekend, especially when it's biting. So they fish pretty consistently. So we are spoiled. Like when I'm home, he's cutting up fresh ahi, tuna, and yellowtail's my favorite.
Yep.
And so, yeah. It's just not the same as him, fishing that day. They let it soak and brine or for however long. And then he cuts it right there for us. And however he prepares it, whether it's raw or, fried or in any way, it's so good. When people say, oh, I don't like fish, I don't like seafood, I'm like, you have to try it first in Hawaii. Then I will trust your judgment because it's not supposed to be mushy. It has like a firm texture and it's dry. It's not wet, which I think a lot of people's experience with seafood gets messed up when they haven't had it fresh.
No, when you catch something in the morning and eat it that day or that evening, it's a totally different experience. And I think we're gonna have to end this episode because I'm getting really, really hungry now. Like we're gonna have to take an early dinner break or something.
I know. I'm actually like thinking about like a poke bowl or something. I'm like, wow,
gosh.
it smells so good. I'm like, the fish is getting to me.
No, I want to ask you one more question just because it's not something that everyone does, especially today's younger generation. But I saw some of the sewing that you've done, and creating different pairs of jeans and stuff. Where did you learn to put all that together? Was that influenced by Quincy or someone else?
No. So I've always been interested in chain stitching, particularly chain stitching. And I love it because it's its own embroidery, but I find like such novelty in taking something that is so old and bringing it to like new life to something that someone did hundreds of years ago. Like they made clothing this way, they embroidered this way. When you look at the back of FFA jackets, like at one point, somebody chain stitched by hand, all of that. Like that's why the lettering, like the lines are not perfect. There are faults in that kind of embroidery because someone did that by hand. And for me, I have such appreciation for when time is put in to create a product. And so it is an old machine. Like I have my machine here. They're from the 20s, like they're so old. They've been restored and made new. Like mine's repainted. It's a pink. Like they weren't making them in pink, I'm sure, in the 20s. But like mine is, and it has like, it runs on a leather belt still. It has a motor. but it's like a foot pedal, and it takes time, which is why when I first did it, like I did my custom pieces and stuff. But as a mom, like I do not have 7 hours to put into one jacket for somebody else for a few $100. At this point, I'm like, if it's not starting at, $600 or something outrageous, I don't have the time to do that. And so I just have a love for chain stitching. And when I have time, I love to do it. It's just a hobby of mine that I have found that I really enjoy. And I just think it's unique because it's really like drawing with thread. Like I'm controlling the machine in every direction, and it has such a textured layer. And I just think it's unique and different. And they have machines now that do chain stitch, but it's just, I think there is something cool when you've done it by hand. And yeah, I love it. I wish I could do it more, and I hope to incorporate that into more of the things that I do. But yeah, it's kind of how it started. What really piqued my interest actually was at an NFR a couple years ago. Kimes Ranch used to do like these. They were like these really cool events. They did a fashion show. You got to like customize your own jacket. And there's chain stitchers there, and they do it on a lot of events. It's like a cool thing where brands like even Ralph Lauren and everybody was doing it, and where they have somebody there, an artist there who's chain stitching. And then like I started taking notice, and here comes Post Malone, and like full chain stitched outfits at, the CMA Awards and just all these crazy things. And like once you start picking up on it and noticing it, there's just such beauty in the art. And then I happened to be able to get my hands on a machine and test one out because they are kind of expensive before I bought my own. But yes, I love it. I do it as much as I can whenever I can, but I hope I can keep producing pieces that are unique that I've done.
Well, you guys are one of the coolest couples now, growing family in rodeo, and the passion that you have for the projects that you guys are involved in, it bleeds through. So don't stop doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah. We hope that passion always comes through. And I think that's kind of just like, I feel like that's just our motto in life. We are thankful, we are grateful. And it's like, I don't think we ever want to regret anything in our life. And so we take the attitude with all things. And I think it's done good for us so far.
Well, we're grateful that you shared your time with us today. And we look forward to seeing you and Lefty up and down the rodeo road and at next year's NFR.
Awesome. We will be there to start of another year. It does suck coming off of the NFR and you're like, gosh, we got to start all over again, like this journey. But then come October 1st and you are headed to the NFR, and then come the start of NFR. It's like, this is why you do it. It's just, there is no feeling like the Thomas and Mack in Las Vegas. And I don't think that will ever change. So thank you guys for all that you guys do to make everything happen for these cowboys. And I think this sport is just continuing to grow, and we're thankful to be here for it.
Amen to that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Want to experience more of the NFR? Then visit NFRExperience.com, and we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.